So I just made a video. Lord, I know Snapchat. Where's shit after high school part one? This is part two. So prior to the 2 year ex-girlfriend, I was dating somebody also offline, like from online. Um, she claimed to be a lesbian. And I think I started mentioning this on Snapchat, but in the middle of me talking, I see my ex best friend making facial expressions like trying to say don't say that or whatever. So I never really like the conversation, well the topic was supposed to be continued and I never continued it. Cuz then shit died down or whatever. But now I want to talk about it cuz now I've been making videos since last night and now I want to talk about it. Um I forgot the website, but it was like a dating app or some shit and I was on there trying to start dating cuz me and my kid's father was not in a relationship and I was in school feeling myself and I wanted to share that with somebody. I was finally feeling free. Like my kid weaned off at the time and I was feeling myself and I was feeling free. So I wanted to date. And of course at the time I loved my kid's father, so I wasn't trying to go start dating guys. I wanted to date girls because I'm bisexual. Um and so I come across this lesbian. She was from the Bronx and we started chatting and whatever, and then it came to a conversation where she wanted to hit me up from school. So I'm like, sure. Although back in high school, I had a few of those that wanted to meet up after school, or if I didn't go to school, they wanted to meet up and shit like that. So it was a little different now being a mother, because I'm like, oh my God, I hope it's not a weirdo or whatever. So, um, she popped up and she was like, what they call it, AG. She was like a dyke. I don't want to say dyke, but basically she was a dyke. And at the time, um, I think I only dated one AG in high school. But at that time, I just knew I liked the girls. And initially it started with like feminine girls. But I did kind of crush on a lot of dykes. I want to say AGs because dykes, I feel like they're too rough looking. AGs are feminine, but they're like tomboys. um, and so she picked me up, and when I first saw her, I recognized it was her, so that was good because sometimes you meet these people online and they say they're this person and they're not, and I didn't want to go through that. But I recognized her from the pictures I saw online, and I'm not really scared to date people online. Like I met my kid's father online, so but because that didn't end too well. I was cautious or whatever, but I figured shit would be different because this is a girl. Um, and she picked me up from school. It was on a weekend. My kids were with their father, and so I had this free time before I get over there and pick them up and shit. So I had some time. So um, she picked me up. We took the train, and then we got off on her stop. So I was able to like kind of see where she was at, like what hood she was from or whatever the case is. And I ended up going to her house. I'm like a risk taker, so I wasn't scared. So when I don't feel scared, I kind of go with the flow. Um, and I think like I was kind of feeling her, but it was awkward a little bit because she was more aggressive than I thought. And then she started telling me like that she wanted to transition, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay." But by then I'm like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to say. I never heard this before, and I felt like this was like, how they got LGBT blah 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 blah. I felt like this was like zooming through the whole letters, like the whole thing, like what? And she was cute, like she was dark skinned, she had her hair cut, she had shape up, like little shit that I like. She was tall, she was very social, she was very active, and little shit that I look for in people that I want to date. But now she talking about she want to transition. I'm like, like what you mean, like And then she starts showing me medications and shit. I'm like, she wants to be a dude. Basically, it's what she said. She wants to be a guy. So now I'm like, what the fuck? Because I'm to be dating girls. Like, I don't want to be dating a guy. Like, that's why I was talking to you, because you claimed you was lesbian, you was a girl, and all this extra shit. But then, like, I didn't want to judge her for whatever the fuck she was going through. I actually genuinely did like her. Um, but now I felt like I didn't have control of the situation. I felt like I couldn't judge her too much because that could cause her to switch her decision, and I didn't felt like I needed to be responsible for anything like that. So we were basically friends with benefits. Like, we wasn't really in a relationship, but I was able to be in her crib. She was able to meet my kids. During this time, me and my kid's father was arguing. I didn't want to really be around him. Because I felt like if I was around him, we was gonna get back to it, and that wasn't really good for me. There was a weekend where it was kind of crazy. I stayed there with her. I didn't want to go back home, and I stayed. She offered. She let me know that I could stay there with the kids. Like, it wasn't gonna be a problem with her parents. And the cool shit about her was her mother was lesbian. So her mother had a girlfriend and a wife actually in the crib. So I was like in a different world. Like, I was like, oh, this is really interesting because I never really witnessed lesbians in a household. Like, hey, and I have boys, so it's like they wouldn't really, like they wouldn't really notice any weird shit other than there's no guy in the house, which is cool for me because in any time their father would have asked them, there is no dude here. That's just the mentality I had at the time, which I don't know. Like, but they were really cool people. Like, they were really cool. The parents could cook their asses off. Like I actually had soul food. Like, had I stayed there, I would have learned how to cook all that. And the only thing they had a cat. I don't really like cats. I prefer being in a room with dogs and shit. Like, shit that don't really move, or don't really creep up on you like that. Like, dogs make noise. Cats, they just you take a look, they're right there. Like, I don't like that. But yeah, so it was interesting, like, because I instantly trusted her, and that don't really happen. Um, and I was very interested in getting to know her as a person, not like all this extra shit, all these labels and shit. But I knew as far as a relationship, if you came at me as a lesbian, that's what I need you to be. Um, like, that's just what I need you to be. But she was also bipolar. So that kind of had me weirded out. I didn't know when she would have episodes or whatever the case. Like I had these expectations when she said that, and I just didn't know. I didn't want to be there too long to even know. But then I didn't want to use that against her neither. So it was very, very, very stressful for me because I was at this point I was really trying to understand people. And like I realized people have crazy lives and people go through crazy shit because at this point I was a medical student. So all the shit that I have to study is like intriguing to me. And one of the first shit that we witnessed in school was a video of of a guy getting surgery down there. He turned his dick into a pussy. So I'm like, whoa, you know? And I'm like, whoa, like what? Like I actually watched the whole like I most of the video. They turn a dick into a pussy. So I felt like I was in the twilight zone for a little bit. Like what? Now I gotta go back online and look for somebody else type shit because I wasn't really being like, or I gotta hang out with these bitches from school and find somebody like during happy hour or some shit or after school type shit. And I don't know these bitches. They were a cool set of bitches, but everyone was a mother. There was different ages. Like college is different than high school. Well, in a way, kind of the same because in high school there are older people in like the same class as you, motherfuckers who got left back. So it's kind of the same thing. But in college, you know that everybody is working or everybody is a parent or everyone has a husband, a wife, or whatever the case is. So you know that it's more serious in college than it was in high school. But then again, I was studying in Manhattan, and in Manhattan, there are a lot of gays. There are a lot of different people, different colors, different races, different nationalities, different religion, like everything. You see everything. Um, and at the time, I was really going through it with my kid's father, but I ended up getting back with him. And then after that, a little after that, that's when I met the ex girlfriend that I mentioned in the other video. And that shit lasted 2 years. She was actually really lesbian, and that's what that was about. But oh yeah, these situations. I didn't even really think I would like girls that much. Um, and her mother's wife had a daughter. So it's kind of interesting because it kind of opened my mind. Like, I didn't have to feel bad about having kids and leaning towards my sexuality or whatever the case was. But at the same time, I knew already that if this is something she was dealing with herself and was planning for herself, then there's no way I could change that, even if I didn't want her to transition. She already on meds, and this is like her decision. But we stayed as friends, like on social media and shit. So I was able to keep tabs on her for a little bit before I deleted everybody. And I even mentioned this situation to my ex best friend at the time. So one night, like we was talking about it, and I'm like, let me make a video because I knew this was some shit nobody would expect of me. And I couldn't finish the video or some shit. I felt like she had me feeling like I was talking too much, and like there was no point of telling people this. But eventually, I always knew I was gonna make a video about this because it was a weird timing for me. My kid's father would send me messages like, if you don't bring my kids, I'm gonna kill myself and shit like that. I'm like, whoa, like this is too much. Like, you know? But obviously he didn't die, so he said that to kind of catch my attention. Um and it's true, the relationship didn't last. We ended up friends. Um and the bitch, she really got top surgery. So I knew that she was for real, like she was gonna transition. And kudos to her wherever the fuck she's at. I actually think I saw him on the train recently. So kudos to him. Like I recognized her. I recognized him. I got a little upset because I felt like he recognized me. He was literally right in front of me and didn't say anything to me. So I felt uncomfortable about that. Um, and by then I was over New York. There was actually someone else on the train that kind of threw me off, and I was like weirded out. Um, because at that point I'm like, I hope this situation wasn't another setup. I hope it's just a coincidence that we're all on the train together, and kudos to them. Like kudos to him. Um, and the weird shit is she got rid of her breast. I actually need a breast lift myself. So I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll contact him regarding who did his surgery because maybe they can lift my shit up after this pregnancy or whatever the case is. But that's another thing. I kind of didn't want him to keep contact with me. I kind of didn't want him to keep tabs on me because now I felt like you're a different person. You're not the person that I met. And this would be too much to kind of explain to my kids. Like, so, in the future, I'm kind of done with girls, but in the future, if I end up like wanting to revisit dating girls, I need it to be a girl. Like, I need it to be a girl that likes girls. Not no girl that wants to fuck around with her baby daddy and her nigga or her weed man or all this extra shit that girls be doing. Um, but I got my nigga. And as long as he stays faithful to me, I stay faithful to him. Because that's how I operate. Once I feel like you making moves by your damn self, I'm gonna start flirting again. I'm gonna start looking around again, and it's gonna have to be a girl because I don't really date guys like that. Like I don't really. I feel like that's a different aisle for me. Like I rather I always said if shit don't work out with guys, I need a girlfriend. I need that person that can really be the whole package for me because I'll be fine. Um, but yeah, that that had me weirded out a little bit.